Alright, well, today I want to work on this 2016 number 88 Cole Custer Jack Links. And I've already obviously put some decals on the car, and wanted to show you the value of pre-painting, and of course just lining up the decals and looking at where they're going to go on the car before you start applying them on the car. So might be a little hard to see this in the camera, but you can see this side decal doesn't line up on the back. It comes up short. It's a little short on the bottom too, here. It's also a little off here. There's a raised area that you need to paint black before you apply this on here. Of course, on the side skirts you need to paint that black as well. And then right here on the front, there's the need for this to be painted black here, because a lot of times on these, especially on the Camaros, it just seems that the side is a little high. It's just a little raised up more than others, and the decal needs to be a little bit higher on the roof, or towards the hood of the car, more so than others like the Toyota or the Ford. So when I was putting this together, I cut up the roof decals, or the hood decals. I don't know why I keep saying roof. I cut up the hood decals because this needs to go along here, and when I say I cut it up, it was part of this front piece here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that on now that I have this side on. I also, after I put this side on, I thought it might come up a little short, so I applied a little bit of black paint here, so that if I have a gap or a seam, it won't be as noticeable with the black paint. So I'm also going to apply this decal on this side, and then you can see here how much I pre-painted, covering this black back area all around here, just to make sure if I have any seams, they'll be black and not red. So let's get this lined up here. I also had to ever so slightly trim this corner here, and when these sides look like they're gonna be a little long, I'll just cut a little slits into the side, usually 3 along the lines of the decal, the colors of the decal. So right along here, I cut here, a little bit here, so that it'll be easier to fold in when they get applied. So let's get this into the water. Usually let those bigger ones sit for a little bit, fuzzy here. And then I'll go ahead and get these smaller pieces, like the side here, is the B pillar, and then the Cole Custer, a little bit of the other pieces, Exalta, NASCAR, car, Sun Energy, all these little side decals that need to go in there. And then I had to pull up a Sunoco decal. And the reason that I need a Sunoco decal, I'll try to show it to you on the video here. Let's make sure there's enough water. Definitely would rather have more water on these water slides than not. But the reason that you need, you can see here, there's a Sunoco. So you got Moog, Melee, Comp, Edelbrock, and the Sunoco. at the bottom, right there. But on this side, it's very weird. It's very rare too. You've got the Moog, Melee, Comp, Edelbrock, and then you've got this partial Sunoco logo. I'm going to try to bring it really close. But this white banner seems to be on top of the Sunoco. It's barely visible underneath it. So I've got some extra Sunoco decals, just extra decals in general, but I cut out some Sunoco ones, and I'm going to put it over top of that one to show that it's actually there and not covered up. If I just left it, obviously it wouldn't be there. So yeah, you know, I mean, like I've always said, you know, Pato has great decals. They're the best decals that you can get. Every once in a while, though, there's a little goof on them, and you know, sometimes the decals don't fit perfectly. Sometimes there's something missing, and so I've found him to be honorable in that if there is something missing, he'll try to make it right as best as he can. I got something in my water here. But yeah, he, you know, if you email him and tell him what happened, he will try to make the situation right. Drinking some apple juice today. All right, so while those are sitting, I want to paint the spoiler on this car. It's a Blaney, Acela Carlisle. And I need to paint this area white, and then I need to paint the spoiler black. So I kind of want to show you how I do that. I've done it before. These spoilers on some of these, this is a 2018, are super small. I mean, you can see how small that is. And it's very difficult to paint it just right. I've kind of settled into what I'll do on this back edge is I'll take my paint pen and I'll kind of just wedge it into this crevice right here. And drag it across. Like that. So it's a nice straight line. Yeah, I get some of the black on the back of the trunk, but it's really not that noticeable, and it gives me a straight line that's better than trying to not touch that part. And then I just kind of work my way around, touch up the sides here, and might be kind of difficult to see this. I'm going to try to do this here. I want to keep this part white. It's from what I've seen in the pictures. It's either white or clear. So yeah. Got a couple coats of sealer on this, so I'm not too concerned about getting the moving the decals or anything like that. Okay. So now comes the fun part. I'm going to go across here, and it's hard. I just be honest with you. It's very hard to have a steady hand, and it's very hard to do it right. I'm going to adjust the camera because I'm going to hold this differently so that I can try to do justice on this. I'm hoping you can see this. Sometimes I'll brace the car, brace the hand on so it's on a solid surface. And I don't want to touch the trunk, I just want to bring it across here. If I touch the trunk, you know, it is what it is. The key thing I'm trying to do here is straight line. Okay. It's not too bad. Now, I need to get into this corner because it's I think I just screwed it up. I got a little heavy on that one spot, and now I gotta kind of even it out. So now I gotta lower my line. You can see what I'm talking about. So sometimes when I do that, I bring this out, and I just kind of, now that the paint's wet, I kind of spread it around. Because in these tight spaces, that paint brush is actually it's too thick. Okay, got some there. So sometimes I have to do this because, again, it just gives me a better shot at a straight line. And nice corners. Sometimes if it turns out straight with the paint pen, then I don't use this method. You can tell the difference. So I'm bringing it a little bit lower so that it's a straight line across there. And the reason I'm going lower is because it was fine, and then I got a little bit too much in one spot and it lowered it. So now I got to bring the whole line lower to match up with it. And that's just, you know, the way it goes. I got a fuzzy there. I don't think it got on the white area. That would be a nightmare. I don't say a nightmare, but that would not be what I would want. Alright, so that's basically what it looks like. That's pretty good. And then I can see a little area on the top that's just a little touch, needs a little touch. Okay. sometimes when you try to make something better, you actually make it worse. And that's unfortunate. Once I get the car all reassembled, I think only maybe a couple times have I ever drilled out the JB weld to fix a problem. Because you get it to this point, I mean, you're beyond the point almost of no return. Especially when you have this together, you start applying all the decals, you're not going to be able to fix any paint problems at that point. You've gone past that point, and you need to live with what you've done and try to, touch it up, make it look as best as you can, and then just, move on. Sometimes I'll sell cars that I know are not even close to perfect, and I'll try to put that in the description to let people know. So, all right, so let's try to get this back on the jack links here and show what we've got. So if I can get that to line up there. I mean, it's hard on the decal seams. It's hard to try to hide them. They're gonna show through most of the time. Whoops. Try to make them as best as you can. Okay. Again, wash my hands before I started messing with these decals and these cars. Soap and water. Yeah. So this is where 3 decals come together. You got this side decal, this piece I just put on, and then this front piece that goes across the whole front nose. Yeah, it's just the way it is in some of these cars that have not just like a full color or one color. You've got these kind of full body panel decals, and you're just going to have seams. It's just the way it's going to be. Try to hide them and mask them as best you can. Alright, so let's get this on the side here. It gets ready to move. I'll be listing this car on eBay when it's done. Now that Cole Custer's driving the 41 for Tony Stewart Haas Racing, might be some interest in this car. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if too many people are collecting Cole Custer cars, but this would definitely be one that can't get anywhere. This little area over the rear quarter panel, whenever you have these side decals here, it always likes to bunch up right there on that corner, because it kind of comes around and it's got a curved surface to it. So you kind of have to use I use this to kind of get the water out from underneath and the decal, and yeah. And then on the front here, trying to line up this with this piece here. And I'm not running into any of the windows, so that's good. So I don't have to, kind of tuck it underneath the plastic. Sometimes you have to, tuck it underneath there. I don't have to do that here. So it just comes straight down here. So Folds a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I mean, ideally these would line up. This rear decal would line up with this piece, but it just doesn't. I mean, they're not going to touch, because then I would have a gap over here, and it would just, yeah. So, it's the best it's going to be. Okay. Alright, now let's put some of these smaller pieces on. Sun Energy. Actually, I think it's Sun Energy 1. So let me see if it lines up with the other one I put on. Yeah, it's pretty good. You know, it's funny looking for images of this car. You know, sometimes you go to Google, or at least I go to Google and I look for images of a car so I can, you know, kind of make sure I line these things up and get them in the right place, or at least, you know, at least close to the right place. They're not completely off mark. I want them symmetrical, first and foremost, and then, you know, of course, close to where the actual decal was on the car. And, you know, that one's up there pretty high, the Exalta one. And then this is pretty standard, going on the B pillar. And then you got the Cole Custer signature in white on both sides. Let's see how that lines up. Yep. Alright, now let's put this little Sunoco decal that I have in the proper place. Okay, you can see how that is much better. And that completes that. It's not a perfect match to the one on this side, but it's there. So, and then the last piece to put on is this piece here. Okay, looks pretty good. It's close. Get the water out. Make sure that lines up there. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. So, while that's drying, let me get a first coat of the Sharpie on these roof lines. I haven't done that yet. The roof lines are black. So I usually put a couple lines or a couple strokes of the Sharpie, and then once I put the clear sealer on it, it's locked in. So You know, again, I would normally use a paint pen for all my painting, but the paint pen just a little heavy on the roof lines, and the Sharpie gives a nice straight, because the tip is so firm, it gives a nice straight line, and you know, better than the paint pen. My experience is it's better than a paint pen, so that's another weapon in my arsenal of making these things is a Sharpie, black Sharpie. So I'm gonna let that dry. There's a couple other things I want to show you on this car. So I need to put a little dab of silver on the back here for the trunk roof, or trunk roof. Why am I saying roof? Trunk pins, so that that can kind of match what's in the front. And then I have this issue. I'm going to pick up the camera here. I have this issue with the nose. See, this nose is black, and I'll show you some pictures that I have. So it's funny when I do a Google search for this car. Here's some of this one here and this one here are pictures of the car that I made back when I first got the decal set and made them. But one thing that's interesting on this is, I think this is the best one. You can see this front lip is a bright yellow, and that's just difficult to paint over the black surface there. So a couple tricks that I've done in the past is what I'll do, because it's like a fluorescent yellow, and since it just doesn't show up very well over the black. I've used this before. This is an acrylic paint, and it's called a lemon yellow. And the problem with this is, it's a nice color, but the paint doesn't flow very smoothly. And so I've actually shaken this up and set it in and put it in hot water to just warm up the paint and get it, take out any clumps and try to just get it as smooth as I can get it before I'll get the paint flowing on the tip and use it. But I'll use this, but sometimes I'll go ahead and I'll paint it white first, so the background will be white, because this shows up pretty well on black. And then I'll paint over the white with this yellow, so the yellow stands out more, and I don't have to put as many coats of it on. So anyways, just a little trick I'll do from time to time when you have to put a color over top of a dark surface. Sometimes obviously it doesn't show up very well through that, just because of the black dark pigments. So, well, that's pretty much all I wanted to show you today. I've got some decals I'm waiting for from Pato, and excited for when they come, and then I'll do a video of that. They haven't come yet. It's been over a month, but yeah, when they show, I'll show you what those look like. So, God bless you all. Hope you're enjoying the NASCAR back, and we'll talk to you soon. God bless.